Let's take a look at a typical vertebrae. First of all, we have the body. This is the weight-bearing portion of the vertebrae. This is going to face anteriorly. Then we have what's called the vertebral arch or neural arch. So this is the vertebral or neural arch. It's going to be made up of these called pedicles and these called lamina. Now, how I think of this is, if this is an arch, I think of it being held up by pedestals. Oh, wait, no, they're not pedestals, they're pedicles. And as far as lamina go, what is it when you take a couple of pieces of plastic and you put a piece of paper in between and you run it through one of those machines that heats it up? Oh yeah, laminating. Well, during development, these bones have to come together and they have to fuse to form this spinous process. And so just like fusing that plastic together is called laminating, well, these bones will laminate together to form the spinous process. Sometimes they don't, and that is called spina bifida. And so again, think of laminating together to form the spinous process. So this is the lamina. In the middle, we have the vertebral foramen. And the vertebral foramen is where the spinal cord is going to live. And we have 7 different processes. We have 2 transverse processes. We have 1 spinous process. And then we have 4 articular processes. Now these 2 articular processes are on the top, so we call those the superior articular processes. And then we'll have 2 more underneath at the bottom, and you can kind of see it a little bit here, but these would be the inferior articular processes. Now you're looking at this and it says, well, this says superior articular facet. Okay, well, think about a diamond. What is it that makes a diamond sparkly? It's the facets, right? The shiny parts on the diamond, the facets that make it sparkly. It grabs the light. Well, think about those smooth, shiny areas on a diamond. These are the smooth, shiny areas on, in this case, the vertebrae, and they happen to be covered with hyaline cartilage, which again makes it slick and shiny and helps to absorb shock and what have you. So this portion of the superior articular process is going to be the superior articular facet. So if you were asked what's the entire thing, that is an articular process. If you're asked what the shiny spot here that contains hyaline cartilage is, well, that's the superior articular facet in this case. Okay? So again, the facet is just part of the articular process. And then we're going to have 2 notches. We're going to have a superior vertebral notch and an inferior vertebral notch. Okay, now when we stack the vertebrae together, we're going to change some names a little bit. Remember the vertebral foramen? Let's go back and take a look. Here's the vertebral foramen. When we stack the vertebrae together, we wind up with a vertebral canal. Okay, and the vertebral canal is where the spinal cord lives. And then remember the inferior and superior vertebral notches? Well, when we stack the vertebrae together, we wind up with what are called intervertebral foramen. Okay? And this is where the spinal nerves are going to exit as they come off of or go into the spinal cord. Just remember, when it's separate, like here, this is just a notch. This is the below notch, so this is the inferior vertebral notch. Right here's the superior vertebral notch. We put two vertebrae together. Now we no longer have a notch, we have a hole. And again, the name for a hole is a foramen. And so this is a foramen that's in between two vertebrae, just like, what do you call that road that goes in between two states? We call it an interstate. Well, this is going in between two vertebrae, so we call it an intervertebral, name for a hole, foramen, so intervertebral foramen.